honor for their dedication to making a difference in the lives of others. It was my pleasure to invest 8 new members to the Order of Newfoundland and Labrador on January the 29th at Government House. They joined a prestigious group of 110 individuals who have become members of the Order since it was established in 2003. Every year since, Newfoundlanders and Labradorians have been recognized for demonstrating excellence and commitment and achievement in any field of endeavor that benefits in an extraordinary manner Newfoundland and Labrador and its residents. This year's Order of Newfoundland and Labrador recipients met that criteria unequivocally. These 8 exemplary individuals include, and as I expect most of you know, Rotarians Jim Burton, Gordon Slade, and Bruce Templeman. Round of applause, I think, for your fellow Rotarians. They joined Elaine Dobbin, Robert Lyle, Helen Murphy, Miles Murphy, and Susan Rose. And I invite all of you to visit the Honors and Awards section of the website of Government House to learn more about several medals available in the official honor system of Canada, including not just the Order of Newfoundland and Labrador, but the Order of Canada, the Meritorious Service Decoration, the Sovereign's Medal for Volunteers, and the Polar Medal. And I ask you to consider submitting nominations for deserving individuals in our province whom we all know deserve recognition, but don't do what they do for the recognition. The webpage contains nomination forms that can be easily downloaded. Unfortunately, not many of our citizens are recipients of certain of these medals for the simple reason that nominations are not being made. So I encourage all of you to get involved and help us recognize more of the incredible Newfoundlanders and Labradorians and the work that they do in our province. As Rotarians, you know it is so important that we lead by example, whether it is by lending a helping hand, encouraging others to volunteer, or do what we can to make new members of our communities feel welcome. One of the ways I do that is through Sharing Circle initiative, which I mentioned last year in my address to you. As a Lieutenant Governor of Newfoundland and Labrador, having the power to convene means bringing people together, hence the Sharing Circles. This is an opportunity to discuss issues of importance to our province. I'm pleased to report 2 Sharing Circles have taken place since I last spoke to you. One of the 2 Sharing Circles held at Government House focused on immigration and involved participants from 19 countries. They shared their personal experiences, detailing the various challenges they faced as newcomers to our province and how, based on their experiences, entering the workforce can be improved for immigrants. This was important for 2 reasons. The facilitators at the event were there because they are responsible for ensuring a smooth transition for immigrants who choose to stay in our province. So they got to hear firsthand the challenges that newcomers still face. The second is because the minister responsible for the file was present to hear from immigrants directly, people whom he may not have heard from otherwise. Part of the problem I think we have in our country is the myth that immigrants steal jobs. But as you know, it is just that, a myth. Newcomers to our province are necessary for the growth of communities. They help keep them vibrant by breathing new life into rural areas and urban centers. I was at Memorial University for their volunteer incentive program, their awards program, just last week. 289 students were recognized, and among them they have given close to 10,000 hours of volunteer work. And what really struck me was that more than half of those volunteers were international students. So it goes to show the contribution that they make as well as what our own people make. How often do we hear that businesses can't access employees to fill vacancies? Despite the fact that there are roughly 220,000 individuals living in Newfoundland and Labrador over the age of 15 who are both eligible and willing to work in the labor force, there is still a labor shortage. The provincial government announced in 2017 a plan to welcome 50% more immigrants to the province by 2022. That goal was set based on the data that 1,122 permanent residencies were issued in 2015, meaning that from 2017 to 2022, the province would welcome 1,700 new residents through immigration. The goal was in fact reached by 2019, almost 3 years early. It is good to see the provincial government demonstrate the awareness of the importance of immigration, which is necessary to meet the challenges we face, especially those that come with a dwindling population. And according to the ongoing population project that was started in 2016 by Memorial University's Harris Center, the birth rate for Newfoundland and Labrador continues to fall, something, of course, we're all aware. I am sure you've heard that the death rate now outpaces the provincial birth rate. The population project has taken a historical look at migration patterns in conjunction with birth and death rates to formulate 20-year projections at regional and provincial levels. It also conducts relevant research arising from those identified projections in areas such as regional service provisions, resource planning, housing, and healthcare needs. Another statistic that is of concern is the fact that more people are set to retire now than there are new people entering the labor force. These circumstances alone are of serious concern for employers, and they present a very telling story that can be easily seen simply by looking at the number of vacancies that exist in different sectors in the province. For example, the technology sector is growing, one within our province that's growing very quickly. Some great homegrown examples include Genoa Design International, a 3D modeling company established in 1995, dedicated to shipbuilding and offshore industries. The company has grown to employ over 100 people, just moved into a new headquarters actually in Mount Pearl, and was founded by Gina Picor. Verafin, an innovative security and crime-fighting IT company, founded by Jamie King, Raymond Pretty, and Brendan Brothers. MISA, a smart thermostat tech startup founded by brothers Joshua and Zach Green, which in just 4 years has grown to employ over 50 people and was recently named one of the top 20 startup companies in the country by the Canadian Innovation Exchange. So we are doing so well. All of these I have profiled on my social media, but we need to do more and we need to keep doing well. I get really excited when I talk about these young entrepreneurs because they are the future of our province and we need to be supporting them. Keeping a focus on encouraging our international post-secondary students to stay in Newfoundland and Labrador following the conclusion of their studies is one approach that can support filling the labor shortfall. Post-secondary institutions in the province are attracting bright and talented individuals from other parts of Canada and throughout the world. We attract individuals who sometimes bring their families. Their skills are fostered and their talents are incubated. We need to do everything possible to ensure they don't move on to build communities elsewhere. That is why, as LG, I was pleased to see a new provincial government initiative that makes it possible for international students to create or co-own a business in the province upon graduation through the Newfoundland and Labrador Provincial Nominee Program. The provincial government also added a new category to the program called International Entrepreneur, which creates a clear path for prospective immigrants who wish to settle in the province to create or join a business. Yet another example of an initiative to help fill the labor shortfall is the Connector Newfoundland program that involves the St. John's Board of Trade and the Corner Brook Board of Trade, with support again from the province. The objective is to connect newcomers to the provincial workforce by aligning them with relevant career opportunities. The networking program puts a newcomer directly in touch with business owners, managers, civil servants, and community leaders in the province who are passionate about helping people succeed while responding to the need in our province. Programs like Connector Newfoundland and the changes made to the Newfoundland and Labrador Provincial Nominee Program go a long way when it comes to creating opportunities for newcomers and students ready to transition to the workforce. We must continue to look for additional opportunities to help grow the population, the workforce, and our communities. And I think even Mother Nature tried to help us a couple of weeks ago with Snowmageddon. We'll see what happens 9 months' time. For example, talk about things you'll learn when researching a particular topic. An international student can come to Canada and choose to study in our province, or any province in the country for that matter, and become a highly skilled marine engineer, graduating from a world-class institution like the Marine Institute. But Transport Canada's regulations stipulate that in order to be employed on a Canadian registered vessel, an individual must be a permanent resident or citizen of Canada. So unless the international student pursues permanent residency or citizenship in tandem with their studies, they will be faced with moving to work in another country upon graduation. International students are permitted to stay in our province with a student visa for as long as they attend studies at a post-secondary institution. And graduates of a post-secondary institution, like Memorial University or the College of the North Atlantic, are allowed to remain in the province for up to 2 years following graduation to look for work. However, if an individual has studied at a private post-secondary institution, they must leave as soon as they've graduated, unless they have a work opportunity to go to immediately. An unfortunate tangible example of how this can impact the province and its communities happened in Marystown. Kean College has 7 campuses, and one of them in Marystown. According to the principal, Loretta Lewis, there were recently 6 international students from Vietnam, Chile, Kenya, and Japan studying there who also got involved in the local community as volunteers, and some also tutored other students. But because of the existing student visa rules, all but one of those graduates had to move away because only one person was able to find employment immediately following graduation. Examples like this show there are real opportunities to grow both rural population and fill gaps within the labor shortage. Now, we all know that the immigration responsibility is shared under a federal, provincial, territorial agreement, and each agreement is negotiated separately with individual provinces and territories because regional needs are different. Working immigrants contribute to the provincial tax revenue required to support social and economic programs. According to the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, 1 of every jobs in Canada remains vacant because of an inability to find a skilled worker. In recognition of this need, the Federal Department of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada and the Atlantic provinces launched the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program in 2016. Initially rolled, or in 2017, I should know, I was there. Initially rolled out as a 3-year pilot program, it has been extended by 2 years through to December 2021. The employer-driven focus program has a mandatory settlement plan, and it features 3 facets to encourage and ease new hires: the Atlantic International Graduate Program, the Atlantic High Skilled Program, and the Atlantic Intermediate Skilled Program. Videos that summarize each of these paths to improve the hiring process and broaden candidate selection are available online through the Government of Canada's website under Immigration and Citizenship. I mentioned earlier that those who are retiring are now outpacing those entering the workforce. In the first quarter of 2019, the Canadian Real Estate Association noted that 1,475 people moved to Newfoundland and Labrador from elsewhere in Canada, and immigration accounted for the arrival of an additional 230 people. Statistics also show that a total of 2,618 people left the province to move elsewhere in Canada, which means there was a net decrease of 913 people. In the event that this trend was to continue, the provincial government has projected that by 2025, Newfoundland and Labrador will experience a 10% decline in its working age population, resulting in 35,000 fewer people in the workforce without intervention. Another anomaly is forming within the workplace, highlighted by the Harris Center's 2019 Vital Signs report called the Silver Ceiling, which is interesting. The silver ceiling refers to graying hair as being representative of the fact that society puts an age-based ceiling on individuals in the workforce and how long they should remain before retirement. According to Vital Signs, there is a pressure for older workers to retire. The assumption is that individuals will retire the moment they become eligible to do so to make way for the younger generation. There are 2 realities, though, to consider: the declining birth rate and finding people to fill vacancies in the workplace. And the reality for many older workers is that they must continue working because they are dependent on the income. Some want to stay active, while others see it as important to their self-esteem. The proportion of older workers within the labor force in Newfoundland and Labrador, those who are 55 plus, grew from 16% in 2008 to 23% in 2018, almost a quarter of those employed in our province. Clearly, we need to make growing our population a priority. In my role as a Lieutenant Governor, I see making a difference as one of my responsibilities, and I've spent 30 years in public life trying to do just that. I made reference earlier to the sharing circle on immigration that was held at Government House. We have hosted 2 sharing circles to date. The first was on mental health, while the second focused on immigration, 2 issues of importance in our province. Representatives from the Department of Advanced Education, Skills, and Labor helped facilitate the sharing circle on immigration. They were joined by the minister, who was there to listen and hear from those you might not hear from otherwise. The Minister of Health and Community Services attended the sharing circle on mental health, again to listen, while representatives of the department's Mental Health and Addiction Services branch helped as facilitators. We will continue to convene sharing circles in the future on other areas of importance to our province and people. What is notable at these productive gatherings is the kindness and respect that participants show one another while sharing experiences and discussing challenges. And what was really interesting at the sharing circle on immigration, where we had 19 countries represented, was that many of them, most of them, didn't know each other. And when immigrants come to our province or to our country, there's a tendency to look for your community so that you have same interest, same language, same food, and you don't tend to reach outside of that community much. What happened at this sharing circle was that because we had people from 19 countries, they ended up getting to know people who had shared experiences and shared challenges, and they were learning from each other. And one of the things, because it was like having a mini UN at Government House, I had said to them, I hope you are sharing your contact information among each other, because you are all immigrants looking to stay in Newfoundland and Labrador, and they had. And for them, it was an opportunity to reach outside of their own community and be with others who are going through difficult times. So the Sharing Circle initiative was one of the first occurring at Government House. The installation of the Heart Garden, again a reconciliation project, bearing in mind our history in terms of the residential schools in our province. So the Heart Garden on the grounds of Government House was a first for the province. And when I spoke to you last, I encouraged you to visit. And I do so again, as it is an opportunity to be part of that reconciliation process, a place to reflect on what happened to those of us who now know what happened and who can do something about it by reaching out to those families of people who spent so much time in the residential schools. My time at Government House has been busy and, as always, rewarding. My role presents many opportunities to connect with the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. Within the last year, His Honour and I participated in 265 events held at Government House or at other venues throughout the province. This year, for the first time ever, Government House has issued an annual report, copies of which are available by calling Government House, or you can go on our website and it's uploaded there. The report, I think, is an important accountability piece. It shows how the Office of the Lieutenant Governor is part of the community, evolving to ensure direct connections with the people of our province are prioritized. It is also a valuable educational tool, profiling the various functions of my role, including the constitutional duties and responsibilities. I am charged with making sure that all legislation and decisions of government are brought into law. So I've signed 345 orders in council within the 12-month period of the annual report, bringing decisions of the legislature and government both into law. I also have the privilege of welcoming heads of state, diplomats, and other official visitors to the province, during which there is an opportunity to discuss shared opportunities. And most recently, the Ambassador of Turkey and the Ambassador of the Netherlands came to Government House. We were honored to receive a gift of tulip bulbs from the Kingdom of the Netherlands, which were planted in a new bed on the grounds of Government House, next to the bed of forget-me-nots that I asked to have planted in honor of our veterans. A portion of the 1.1 million tulip bulbs gifted to Canada were presented to Newfoundland and Labrador as part of the Liberation 75 project to commemorate the efforts of 1.1 million Canadians, 7,600 of whom paid the ultimate sacrifice for helping to liberate the Netherlands during the Second World War. In 1945, of course, Newfoundland did not have an army of its own during this confrontation, but the people of our province, as always, were there fighting side by side with their comrades in the Canadian, British, and American forces. Some of you were there for the commemorating planting that involve the ambassador, and I welcome you to return to the grounds of Government House to see them in full bloom this spring. It's your history. As you are aware, there are plans to further enhance the grounds of Government House, and it was referenced earlier. The project is proceeding, and I look forward to Rotary's involvement in the initiative through the building of a new greenhouse, which, in addition to being of value to Government House and the park-like grounds, which belong to the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, will be an invaluable resource to organizations dedicated to assisting the most vulnerable, like those at the Gathering Place and Stella's Circle, as well as at Her Majesty's Penitentiary, as part of our focus on restorative justice. We welcomed hundreds of people to our second New Year's Day levee on the traditional date of January the 1st. His Honor and I embrace every opportunity we have to share the history of Government House, your house, with the people of the province. This July, we look forward to hosting our third Lieutenant Governor's Garden Party in St. John's on the grounds of Government House. Last year, as another first, we held an additional Lieutenant Governor's Garden Party in Bonavista Vista to highlight positive growth taking shape in a rural area of the province. The initiative was so well received that we look forward to hosting another rural garden party this year. Social media factors into communications from Government House. This too is new. I believe it provides an opportunity to educate and share with everyone the role of the Lieutenant Governor, the history of Government House, and I use it to extend invitations to everyone to enjoy the 22 acres of park-like grounds. I'm delighted that they are doing so, whether it's for yoga, which we have 300 people coming forward to do on a Wednesday afternoon, Tai Chi Cha, Wisdom Healing Qigong, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, or just a stroll in a relaxing, safe environment. Social media engagement is a means of outreach to connect with and be part of our community. I use social media to highlight important causes and raise awareness. And yes, I do my own social media. One of the ways we do that is by lighting Government House with different colors to draw attention to the work of organizations serving our vulnerable populations, championing awareness days, weeks, and months. For example, on Tuesday of this week, it was lit orange and blue in recognition of World Cancer Day. Since the beginning of this practice, we have lit Government House with color LED lights at least 150 times. And no, an employee does not have to change bulbs every time the color changes. There's a lighting system, compliments of a good friend who appreciated the opportunity to be involved in the initiative. Government House and the grounds belong to the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. I think I have a responsibility to inform and educate, and social media helps make it possible for me to do that. I invite everyone to like our official Facebook page, Lieutenant Governor Judy Foote, which has almost 13,000 followers. And they're not just within our borders. So if you think about spreading information about who we are as a people, about what we do in Newfoundland and Labrador, who we're profiling, people who are accomplishing so much, who are Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, we're doing it. And it's going far beyond Newfoundland and Labrador. You can also join more than 6,000 followers engaged with us on Twitter, or 2,000 followers on Instagram. To conclude, I thank you for the opportunity to be here today. And I sincerely thank you for all that you do as Rotarians, because you do make a difference, not only in Newfoundland and Labrador and in our country, but throughout the world. And it's obvious whenever we recognize, as we did with the Order of Newfoundland and Labrador, Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, but Rotarians in this case, that your work is well beyond our borders. So not only in our province, but throughout the world, you're making a difference. And I thank you for that.
Thank you, Your Honor. That was a wonderful speech, and always nice to hear the different aspects of the community you're trying to champion and improve, especially the refugee and immigrant topic. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Can I get, are there any questions? Would you like to take questions, or? Doesn't matter. No? All right. I'm going to call on Murray to do the door draw. Good. They're not, are
Oh, this is not a good thing.
Just kidding, Fred. Okay, so I'll ask you to please stand for the last verse of the last verse of the oath.